So I sat down and watched Rebel Moon and
Fade in.
Now, I will say that this is a movie that straight off the bat, I think it did it a huge disservice not having a full theatrical release instead of a limited one. For example, the nearest theater to me where I could go and see this movie is over 50 miles away. And I mean, just with the scale of the special effects and the sound, I really think that if I would have watched this movie in theaters, I would have enjoyed it more because I watched it here on my computer. I literally just finished watching it. It's like almost 4 in the morning because this was a long movie. But I had to keep turning my sound down every single time there was an action scene, which there was a lot of, and then it goes to the dialogue scene, and the audio went from super loud blasting my speakers to kind of quiet, so I was constantly cranking up and down, which kind of got on my nerves, but it's what are you going to do? So I think that the audio balancing could have been a little bit better, but if it was in a theater, I think it could have been. Also, the special effects, I think, would have been cooler to see it in theaters because you don't have any distractions and you just have this grandeur up in your face, which again I think that would have done this movie better. It would have done it a little bit better more than a computer screen could have done. And what I mean by that is this really felt like a showcase of the universe and introducing us to this world and these characters and the grandeur of all of the special effects and the sound. I really, really feel like only having a limited theatrical release did this film a disservice. I think that if people were going to the theaters, especially the time of year that it is right now, it's Christmas time. Usually people go to the movies during Christmas. I think only having it available on Netflix is doing a huge disservice because this movie wasn't terrible. It's not the best movie. I will say that there are some major plot holes if you think about it, but if you just want to go to the movie and turn your brain off for 2.5 hours and just watch an action sci-fi flick, then that's basically what this is. So the plot for this movie is very basic. There's bad guys, they control a majority of the galaxy. There's rebels that are fighting against the bad guys, and then there's everyone else that's just trying to live their lives and not get bothered or killed by the bad guys. And the main character used to be on the bad guys' side because it was, if you know World War II history and you know about the Yahtzee youth program and how they would take children and brainwash them to their ideology, and that way they would become the perfect soldiers for them. That kind of the backstory of this character, and she rose up so high in the ranks that she was the bodyguard for the queen's daughter, so the princess of this empire, who all the royals got assassinated, and she, the main character, was basically raised by the main bad guy, and so now she's hiding on this planet, and slowly throughout the film we find out more and more in her backstory, and we find out all of that, which I just told you. So what happens is she's on the planet, she's hiding, it's a simple rural community. Bad guys show up, they kill a couple people, they try to rob one. She ends up, being noble and saving the girl from getting robbed, but because she kills the officers that are stationed there, that means more are going to come. So she needs to go find a bunch of warriors. They need to go assemble a team to get people to come here and defend this planet or defend this little settlement of people. And so that's what the movie is about, is her going and getting her team of misfit warriors to be noble and come and defend her people. That is the basic overall plot of the movie. Now, like I said, if you just want to go and watch a movie and it's sci-fi with a lot of action and you just want to turn your brain off and just sit back and watch it, this is what you want then. It's this movie. But if you think about it at all, the plot holes are going to drive you absolutely insane. For example, I grew up on a farm. My dad, my family, they're all farmers. And so we, back in my childhood, heck, even now, had more sophisticated equipment, farming equipment here on planet Earth. We can't travel at light speed. We don't have basically the knockoff lightsabers that they have in this movie. We don't have the technology that they have in this movie. But us here on planet Earth have more sophisticated farming equipment than they did at this community. And the excuse of, oh, well, it's because they're poor. It's like Luke Skywalker was poor. and they still had technology. Like, it just, the excuse like of that doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense to me that they have their version of like alien horses instead of like a plowing machine, and they can even make it look run down. But that just, it just doesn't make any sense to me. You have all this fertile soil. You can make the argument that, oh, the people don't have the money to buy that, which I'm like, why? How do you not? If you're getting, like, wouldn't that be the first thing that you invest in? You have a community of people. Obviously, all of them rely on the income from these crops, which is how farming kind of works. So the first thing that they would want to do to up production so that way they can feed themselves and make a profit on the, leftover crops, the first thing that they would start investing in is farming equipment, which none of them have. So I'm like, are these people idiots? That's kind of mind-blowing that there's not a single intelligent person that can think logically in this entire society. But again, if you don't think about this, then, it's fine. But even when the bad guys show up, the bad guys that have all the technology, and they want all these people's crops, and they're like, oh, well, we need food. Oh, the first thing that he should say would be, oh, well, I'm going to help you with production. You guys can't supply me with enough? Well, then I'm going to put some farming equipment here so that way we can, right? Like, that would be the first thing that the bad guy did. If you need food to feed your millions upon millions of troops, I'm just like, if not, they're going to starve to death. It didn't make any sense to me, the fact that nobody here can think of that. And that's not even like my biggest gripe with the movie. That's not even the biggest plot hole, but it's the first one that popped up because I was like, oh my God, how is this? How is nobody thinking here? It was driving me crazy. And so that's when I get on to the next plot hole. So obviously she kills all of the troops because she's like this badass warrior that's just been in hiding, and they need to go and get the team together to fight off the troops. Now, my first thing would be like, okay, well, do you have any kind of planetary defense systems in place? Do you have any kind of weapons of any kind that aren't like axes that we can see? Because they got blasters. Oh, the answer is no, and nobody here knows how to fight at all. Huh. And they have ships in outer space, or, that can even come into the atmosphere, that can literally just take out your entire community with one shot. And the plan is to just go and get some random people that are good at fighting to come onto this planet and just stand there and fight whoever shows up, when the people can literally just sit in their spaceship and push a button and just kill all of you. Well, what a great plan. Right? I was just like, there's so many plot holes. And at one point in the movie, I was like, I just need to stop thinking because this is driving me crazy. So that's why I says, if you just want to turn off your brain and go and watch a sci-fi action movie, then yeah, this is for you. One of the positive things about this movie, though, and I think Zack Snyder does very well, is Zack Snyder, I think his best ability is that he knows how to get very attractive people and highlight their attractiveness, like Henry Cavill or movies like 300. Oh my God, my uterus is so happy that movie exists and that Henry was Superman, even though that movie was terrible. But in this movie, obviously he makes everyone look great, and like the people that are supposed to be gross, they look gross. But there's this one character that they get when they're like getting their team together, and oh my God, that dude must live and breathe the gym like who? He is like this prince that's like working like slave labor because of reasons I think we'll find out in part 2. But that dude does not wear a shirt the entire movie, and he is just like rubbed down in oil, and every shot is like showing his muscles and his six-pack and his pecs and his biceps, and even his face is beautiful. I'm like, oh my God. Like, where has this guy been? Like, why isn't this guy in more movies? If Disney would hire that guy to be all, like, every Disney prince, if every Disney prince looked like that and got the Zack Snyder treatment, they would not have a flop anymore. They wouldn't, because women would go just to see them. You want to know why Aquaman made $1 billion? Because of Jason Momoa's abs. This dude, like, his abs were actually on display, like, every shot that he's in. It's like, oh my God. Like, he does not put on a shirt the entire movie, and my uterus appreciated it. So that's a big ups for this movie. Now, another thing that I thought was funny about this movie, so there's a big like homage to Star Wars, or big inspiration of Mos Eisley and the Cantina Scene, because the first stop that the character and her simp that's showing her the way make is that they have to go to this town to go find this guy that the guy sold. That was their connection to sell the grains, because they had previously sold their crops to the rebels. And so she wants to get connected with the rebels. So that way she can get people to fight and defend this village. So they're going there, and the guy, like, immediately they see him getting caught by bounty hunters. But so they have to go into this cantina to see if there's, or I should say saloon. They go into the saloon to see if there's anyone else there that can help them. And I didn't pick up on it at first. It was very strategic on the way that it's filmed, but it's actually a gay bar. And I thought it was hilarious the way that it's done, because as they walk into it, like, there's this creepy alien, and they're just like giving the creepy looks like it does, like in Star Wars. It shows you all the aliens and all of them are looking, but they're looking at the camera. So it's like, oh, like, and you assume that they're like looking at her. But then when they're standing at the bar, the creepy, gross alien comes up and hits on the dude, the simp dude, and like grabs him by the junk and like is like wanting to take him up to his room and asking if he can buy him from her. And that's when you realize, it's like, oh my gosh, she's the only woman in this bar because it's a gay bar. And even the like people of the night that are off to the side, they're all cross-dressers, but they're all dudes. And then even like there's an alien that's like got tentacles and it's got its little thing wrapped around this guy's neck, and there's some kind of weird symbiotic connection going on, and the guy's like getting off by getting touched, and like the alien's talking through him. And it's like, oh my god, this is a gay bar. And it was so funny the way that it was done, because the guy is the actor that plays the simp. He's the guy that was recast as Dario Naharis in Game of Thrones, which is funny. Both Darios are in it. One of them is the main bad guy, the other one is the simp that follows the main girl around. But he's like so taken aback, because I think he was assuming like what the audience is assuming, that they're all gonna go after the girl, but they don't. They go after him because they want they want him. And like the actor's response to it was so like perfect. It was so amusing to me. So I thought that was hilarious. And it was super clever too. And then they meet the guy from Sons of Anarchy that's in there, and it's kind of mind-blowing that guy, I personally think he's a good actor in everything I've seen him in, but he always plays like small roles. I'm like, why is he not playing like more leads in movies? But I don't know. Maybe there's just some, maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe he only wants to work like part-time as an actor. I don't know. But so they meet him in the bar, and it's kind of like, they're kind of setting up like he's into the chick, but I'm like, nah, homeboy met her at a gay bar, and he's super like shady. So no, he's going to totally backstab them. And not to spoil anything, but I might have totally been right. And yeah, but I thought that whole setup and that twist in it, I thought that was pretty amusing. But so yeah, guys, this is just my initial thoughts on the movie. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend it per se, but what I will say again is that if you just want to go and watch a movie that's sci-fi and action-packed, and you want to just turn your brains off for 2.5 hours and watch it, then you know that there you go. There's this movie. But if you're like me and you think a little bit more critically about things and plot holes really bother you, then take that in mind going in, because I think I only mentioned a few of them, and there is so many more. I might do a more in-depth video covering those things. Let me know if that's something that you're interested down below in the comments section. But right now, I just don't want to think about it, because it's going to irritate me even more than I already am. But aside from that, all the actors, I think, did a pretty good job. I really like the main actress. I think that, you know, everything that I've seen her in, she's been great. And I don't know if I'm going to watch part 2. I'm going to have to think about that, depending on how long the runtime is. And I already saw Zack Snyder was saying that he wanted a longer cut of this movie. And I'm like, is this just going to be this guy's thing, is that he wants extended versions of everything? Which I guess if you're a Zack Snyder fan, then you'll really like that. Me, I'm like, there's one scene in particular where I'm like, oh, I can already tell he already shot this in the square format as compared to the widescreen format. So there'll probably be a version of that coming out. But me, I'm like, all I want is a good story, man. Like I want a good story that makes sense. So again, I don't know if I'm going to watch part 2 at this point. I'm going to have to think about that. But yeah. Anyways, guys, let me know what you thought about this review. If you want me to cover anything more, if there's something that you want me to talk about a little bit more in depth, let me know in the comment section. If you guys like this video, please smash the like button. If you didn't, that's okay too. Thank you so much for watching this far through. I really, really appreciate it. And if you like my channel, my content, maybe take a minute and smash that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. Make sure that the bell is set to all, that we actually get notifications when I do videos and live streams. And until next time, guys, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And may the force be with you, because we are really, really, really going to need it. Bye, everyone.